I was deprived as a child. What can I say? My mom didn't like... My mom wanted me to play with Barbie dolls, and I wanted no part of it. So I never got cool toys. Well, not entirely true. They did break down and get me G.I. Joe, so that was cool. Much to their dismay. So, it is with great joy that I welcome Reverend Barb Walley with us here today. She is a Science of Mind minister, but she hangs out up at Ananda. And she actually started her spiritual journey early on. She studied A Course of Miracles with Marianne Williamson. And she also studied the teachings of Yogananda at the Self-Realization Fellowship in LA. And as a result of that, she was drawn to travel the path of Kriya Yoga, which is the primary teaching of Yogananda. And then she discovered in 1980 the Science of Mind. And that kind of completed the package in terms of the study of New Thought and Ancient Wisdom. She graduated from her ministerial training in 1996, and where did you have centers? Just in Toledo. Okay, I thought you had more than one center. 16 and a half years. All right. And then when did you move up to Ananda? 2 years ago, and she has been a practitioner of Kriya Yoga for 5 years. And so basically, she offers the most unique approach to spirituality, a wonderful blending of East and West, drawing upon the wisdom of so many teachers and masters. And I know that she has just a wonderful message for us here today. Welcome, Reverend Barb.
Thank you. Well, this is a treat for me to be with you. Do you mind if I move that away a little bit? It's okay. Today has been planned for a while, and it's such a treat to be here with you. And what is so important is for us to realize that there is a river of life that is not only everywhere around us, but is completely available and operating within us. How much flow we have in that river depends on, one, our realization, and two, of the clearing away of anything that's in the way of the divine flow. So I'd like to start with an idea that John Muir said. He said, it's a wonderful how nature is a part of us. We are a part of it, it's a part of us, and the sun does not shine on us, the sun shines in us. And the river doesn't flow past us, the river flows through us. And the river of life flows through you, and it flows through me. It is the life force that is ever present in all things at all times. So today we're going to talk about and get into a natural flow. The natural flow of our divinity. It's always available, but we are sometimes not sensitive to the fact that we are created in the image and likeness of God. And you and I are unique emanations of that river of life. So as you embody it more, the natural rhythms of spirit are lively and will express that energy in a more fluent way. So just as everybody could be playing a different instrument and we could all be chaotic and to go, oh my goodness, this doesn't sound like anything coherent, but as you get a good composer and he teaches us how to get into a rhythm, we can energize that situation and navigate the musical river of life. So is true about the river that flows within your energy centers and your chakras. Do you know what these are? Those are chakras. Now, in Ananda, they call them chakras. And and they always correct me because I always say chakras, and so does most everyone, but they're supposed to be chakras according to them. So I don't know what's right or wrong, but we know that they're energy centers, and those 7 energy centers, there's actually more than 7, but the ones that we do address are the 7. And there's one at the base. Chakra is represented by the red one, and the second chakra is the orange one. The third chakra is our belly, and that's what people know as the chi. Who's done qigong or tai chi? So the energy when you have a gut feeling, your chi is moving. And when you're attuning to your heart chakra is opening. And when we're highly emotional and over the edge, our heart chakra is buzzing a little out of balance. So the truth is that we are souls. We are all part of the collective soul. We know that we all live, move, and have our being in God because God is everywhere present at all times, in all places, in all conditions. And the reality of our experience of it is our attunement to it. And that's why I practice Kriya Yoga. And so when we learn to let go of the sides of the river, generally we all hold on to the sides of the river because we think we need to, or we've been trained to hold on to the sides of the river. And you'll understand what I mean when we are about holding on to the sides of the river. It's when we get stuck in thinking, stinking thinking, when we get stuck into believing that things aren't working, and we get stuck in our fear when something happens that is operating out of our box of familiarity or comfort. So the reality is that when we learn to be observers, and I know Reverend Robin has mentioned this before, to learn to be an observer. Is this the first time you're hearing this? No, I'm sure it's not. And why do we want to be observers? Because as we're observers, we start to be aware of what's going on with us without being a judge of it. We are not putting up an obstacle. So when we are living in a polluted river within ourselves, things like in rivers, have you ever seen a bunch of junk in rivers? And sometimes you go, why do people throw things in that? We throw negative thoughts in the river of our own bodies. We throw negative thinking. But water has the capacity to move beyond those obstacles. Have you ever just stood and watched the flow of the river? The water goes around the boulders, it goes around the trees. The river of life within you has the capacity to move through anything and everything within your body, except the things that we build up too much pressure, too obstacles in some way. So we have to learn, as we practice in the science of mind, to change our thinking, and then we will change our life. If we change our thinking, we'll change the flow of our body energy as well. And so there are specific practices in yoga that we do. One of them is called pranayama. How many of you heard of the idea of prana? Prana means energy or life energy. And we all have prana within our bodies, but how much prana, the health of our prana in our bodies depends on how we're using it. And in Kriya, we learn to move that energy up and down our bodies. And we're going to do that in our workshop a little bit. And what it's based in is the flow of our breath. So who's breathing right now? You're all breathing. So you may think you're alive, right? Generally, we would guess that you're alive, right? But are you as alive and attuned as you could be? And generally, no, none of us are. Because we could always add more pranic energy to our bodies, our minds, and our spirits. So how do we do that? We breathe more consciously. We take the energy that we have and we just know that there's a life energy within us, and it's God consciousness. And the more oxygen that we give our brain, the better our brain works. Have you ever been anxious and you held on to your breath, and then you go, you just go, oh my God, why am I holding on to my breath? Because we have a habit of stopping the flow sometimes. And so when we realize that we're obstructing the flow, then we have to realize that we can do something about it. We can become more consciously conscious of our breath. We all want to know that we're okay. In fact, Oprah Winfrey, we gave the Harvard graduation of 2013, I believe, a talk about everybody wants to know that they're okay. And so she said that everybody that was ever on her show had asked at the end of their interview, was that okay? Am I okay? Okay, we're talking about President Obama, we're talking about major celebrities, every single one. She says there was never a show that in all the years she did it that everybody that came there said, was that okay? So we all want to know, was that okay? And I might ask you, was that okay? Because we all want to know that we gave forth the best that we had to give. Why is that? Because we're one. I want to serve you. I want to serve your highest good. And we're all trying to let go of the things that are in the way of our greatest joy. Dr. Michael Beckwith says we're either pushed by pain or pulled by vision. Today, I'd like to help you be pulled by the vision of a greater flow of energy and to help you let go of the banks of the river that you might be holding on to. And what's happening when we're holding on to the banks? Well, we've got stagnant parts. Have you ever seen stuck parts in the river? You go, what is going on there? We want to move that forward. There's a lack of energy that's moving the water. And why is it hung up? Well, somewhere there's either garbage in the river or something's in the way. Another thing that happens in rivers, have you ever seen an eddy in the river? It just kind of goes in circles and circles and circles. Have you ever felt like you go in circles and circles? Why do I keep going over that in my mind? Why can't I just give that thought up? Why won't I change that behavior? Why do I have to have a cookie after I eat a meal? Why do I crave ice cream? A lot of the time, I'm off of ice cream. Well, some of the time. Except when I'm not. My friends go, oh, we're breaking the rules today. So we have habits. We have habits that we need to break. And the habits that we really need to break are the habits of regret, the habits of anger and sadness, the habits of avoidance and reactions, and negative thinking. That's what our teaching's about. It's not about a negative thinking. It's about the moving beyond our negative thinking. That our thoughts are things. They're the creation and the solidification of our thoughts, attitudes, belief systems, energy that's frozen within our being. So I have a little clip that I would love to have showed you. It's the wonderful little clip that was created based upon Richard Bach's little book, Illusions. How many of you read that a long time ago? But it's an incredible book. But basically, there's these little creatures that are holding on desperately at the bottom of the river. And one of the creatures says, don't let go, don't let go, don't ever let go. And one of the little creatures goes, I want to let go. I don't want to hold on here anymore. And the other ones are saying, no, you'll be bounced around in the river and you'll hit things and don't ever let go. Well, this little guy was adventurous and kind of stubborn like me, so he let go. Anyway, and he did bounce around. And he did get popped around, but soon he rose above. And he floated along the top of the river. And as he floated by, all the other creatures that were still holding on called him the Messiah. And so it looks like that when people like Dr. Michael Beckwith, or, to all of us ministers, he's one of the greats. He certainly is. He's one of my teachers, and I love him very much. And I'm grateful that he's demonstrated the intense success of holding to principle, holding to spiritual ideas that transcend the smallness of those stuck places within us. So the river of our life is a mirror. It's a mirror so that we can see what we're holding on and holding into our mind. What are we feeling? What are we experiencing? What are we drawing into our life experiences? And take responsibility for the things that we do that beat us up, that help us. The mirror helps us see what's the work that we have to do in order to move beyond these shadow thoughts and attitudes. So who's navigating your river? Is it the past? Is it your mother, your cousin, your sister, your brother? Or are you navigating consciously the river of your own life? And the way we become good navigators of the river of our life is we become observers. And we start to realize and catch ourselves in those places of the incongruities or contradictions that cause us to lodge blocks into our body. And when there are issues that have to do, and we'll go much more specifically into certain chakras and energy centers. Now, it's a one system. Our chakra system isn't just an isolated one chakra separate from the other. They're all a part of each other. But there is, when we're dealing with issues of insecurity or fear, it's usually lodged into our first chakra. And so we can move past that. And one of the ways that we do that is we activate our heart intelligence. So are you willing to put your hand on your heart? And we're just going to breathe right now. Place your hand on your heart. And this is a heart math technique. If you need to get yourself back to center, just all you need to do is just breathe and put your hand on your heart. And it will help you become more centered and aware of your breath, of your truth, and help you live more consciously in your body. A lot of times in New Thought, we are very head-oriented. Is anyone in this room guilty of staying in your mind too much? Well, when we commit ourselves to living from God consciousness, then we know that God expresses through us. And as we put our energy on our heart, we bring that energy and intelligence of our heart intelligence into the situation, and we are able to choose more consciously and feel more completely. So every time that we become conscious in a moment when we are struggling with something and we decide, I'm not going to struggle with this anymore, I'm going to put my hand on my heart and I'm going to get myself centered and I'm going to get into this moment. Because we can only actually navigate the river of our life when we're conscious. And see, navigating the river of our life is an intentional thing. It's not just reaction. Those are habits. But when we're really alive with the awarenesses of God within us, we forgive ourselves, we let go of the choices that we make, we let go of the past, we become more present to the presence. We practice the presence in an active, intentional way. So if you are catching yourself being scattered, all you need to do is get conscious and breathe consciously. Practice conscious breath. And that's partly what Kriya practice is. It's also a very in-depth method. But what it is it moves the energy from the bottom of our spine to our third eye, which they call the spiritual eye. I know you've all heard this before, right? So this represents the movement of our spirit up our spine. And that's what we're going to do, and we're going to become a little bit more sensitive in the workshop as to what positive characteristics we've got going on in our chakras and what less than positive. I don't want to say negative because none of you have anything negative going on within you. I know you don't. So, if so, it's just accidental. So what we're going to do today is we're going to raise the vibration of the energy of God within us. And Yogananda said, "Flood me with thy omnipresent love." Love is our soul's birthright. And we demand now that the rivulets of our cravings be redirected through valleys of humility, eager self-sacrifice, and concern for others. Reinforced by thy torrential blessings, they merge into the ocean of fulfillment in thee. So we want God to bless us, the rivulets of our sympathy, our compassion, and our love, so that we know that that comes from God. It's that when we're open to the impress of Spirit upon us, we allow the vastness of God consciousness to come in and direct us, to intercede. And we, pray for intercession. That's the old paradigm for prayer. God, please intercede on this. God consciousness, your higher spiritual self, is capable, the soul within you, of shining the light into a new dimension of your own reality. But when we're in a third dimensional reality, we're operating on this level. Dr. Holmes told us that cosmic consciousness is the awareness of the unity of the whole. And the mystics intuitively perceive this truth without ever processing it from reasoning. And that he said that there was an intuitive side of ourselves that becomes more activated the more we use it and the more we consciously direct that energy. And a lot of times we just get caught up in overstimulation and trying too hard instead of act. That's a great thing about the heart math practice, is that you can just get out of your head, put your hand on your heart, and breathe. It's so easy. Anyone could do it, right? We could teach a 1-year-old to do it. We could teach an aging person to do it. Now you're not aging, right? You're eternal, but those that are, So anytime we start to feel like we're aging, we're getting too old, it's just a number. We are ageless and timeless. That's the truth of us. And any other story is a belief system that's been passed down to us. Yes, I know there's symptoms, and and we've got a doctor here, and we know that I was married to one, so I'm a little bit familiar. He's very scientific, and I don't know, he's probably much more metaphysical than my husband was, and he's a wonderful soul. But and science is a wonderful practice and awareness, but it's not the whole picture. Because we're spiritual beings that are having a human experience, and we have to be aware there's a huge, grand picture that's much larger than most of us see. And I want to share with you a wonderful, I guess it's story or poem from the Hopi Nation. It goes like this, and it speaks to the river of life. Know that there's a river flowing now very fast. It is so great and swift that there are those who will be afraid, who will try to hold on to the shore. They will feel they are being torn apart and will suffer greatly. Know that the river has its destination. The elders say we must let go of the shore, push off into the middle of the river, and keep our eyes open and our heads above the water. And I say, see who is there with you and celebrate. Because at this time in history, we are to take nothing personally, least of all ourselves. For the moment we do, our spiritual growth and journey comes to a halt. And the reality of our time is that we are not lone wolves now. We are really learning to play in the sandbox. The same, we're really trying to get the lesson that we learned in kindergarten, except that this time we have to learn to play together more effectively. Realize that we're one as a soul, but our bodies appear and are separate. At least they appear to be separate, but we're not separate. We're one. And as we embody that idea and function and learn to play together and work together and do wonderful things together as you do in this great spiritual community, it's just a great opportunity for us to understand that we're not meant to cling to the shores of the river. We're meant to learn to be detached from it. Merging as Shiva is one of my favorite books. He says, be affectionately detached and will absorb the free power of the spiritual force that is within us and learn to feel this subtle energy, which is what we're going to do in a workshop today. And because it's the most delicate of nerves, and it's within our bodies, it's within our minds, it's within our spirit. And it is a vibrant spiritual force, and it vibrates within every cell. And the more consciously conscious of that, the more active we are engaged in that sensitivity, we can bring that energy into the forefront of our life experience. And no matter what is going on, no matter what challenge we're having in the moment, we bring forth the light and say, okay, Spirit, I'm going through this experience, but I know that there's a higher power within me that is going to help me transcend it regardless of circumstances, regardless of what is happening. I trust that I am empowered by Spirit. And I'm going through a challenge myself right now. Physically, I have a tumor behind my left eye. And I know that initially my humanity wanted to go, oh my God, I'm dying. Well, yeah, we're all going to die sometime, right? But the fear mounts up. And then within a day, I caught a hold of myself. It took me a day because I was going, wow, this is too much, you know. And it isn't too much. It's just what it is. And I make up the story about it. And it could all come and go very quickly, and I can let go of all my fear about it. It has nothing to do with my spiritual reality, whether or not it continues or disappears. Because the truth of me is that I'm a spiritual being, and my life is meant to stay in the flow. And when I stay in the flow, I'm able to look at things objectively. But when I get fearful and hold on to the side of the river or the bottom of the river like the little creatures do, then I get out of the flow and my energy gets very fragmented and I am not focused and I'm not sensitive to other people and I'm not even sensitive to myself because when I'm in fear, all I do is separate. It takes divine partnership with each other and with God. There is only one in whom we live, move, and have our being. And that is true for our spiritual journey as well. And we're partners on this spiritual journey. That's why the Hopis told us to pay attention to who else is on the journey with us. Because we're moving as a collective group in awakening to the spiritual truth of our being. Ricky Byers-Beckworth says, there are no hitchhikers on the highway to God. We all must do the work. That's the individual part. I have to do my work, you have to do your work, and sometimes we're not willing. Who's not willing to meditate sometimes? Right? And you go, I know I'm supposed to do it first thing in the morning, but let me go get my cup of coffee, and then I got to check my email, and then I got to call my friend, and before you know it, the morning's gone, and I have to go to work. Or I have to go do whatever I have to do. So we move out of the things that bring us into greater attunement with our higher Holy Spirit selves. But we can place all that stuff on the altar. And what I practice, and we'll do it actually, we'll do it a little bit here, but in the workshop we're going to do it in each chakra. We're going to eliminate some of the blocks that have been going on in your chakras, in your energy systems. So what I would like you to do today is, as I'm talking, you probably have thought during this time of something that has been blocking your chakras, okay? And we're going to do a little river of joy visualization. And basically, this river of joy visualization is in a book that's in the back of the room, and you can buy, there's about 5 of them if anybody wants them. And it's an excellent book about how the chant of Om is brought into your practice, your spiritual practice. How many of you meditate? Well, good. Okay, so those of you that don't might be thinking that it's too hard to do. There's lots of ways to meditate, and you can find one that'll work for you. You know, the fact is that most of us are just afraid of something that we have never done, or we think it's something that it's not. And we can all learn to go more deeply into our meditations. So take a deep breath with me and just put everything down off your lap. Get your hands free, because it's important for you just try to just free up your hands and feel comfortable. So we're going to start by we're going to feel our spine. And this is going to sound a little silly. Put your left hand on the bottom of your spine and put your right hand at your third eye, okay? That is the space that contains all of your chakras, okay? There's a crown chakra, but the energy field that we're going to work with, you can put your hands down. No, you just leave them there. So in that space is when I say, think about, get into your spine. That means get back into your center. And that spinal energy is not only functioning in your body, but it's in your astral body. And that when you leave your body, when you actually sleep, and when you actually move out of your body and make your transition, you're going to be moving in your astral body. And you've all had experiences of it. You may not know that it's that, but we all have experiences of our astral body. And that astral body is activated, and we clear it when we do prayer and meditation, and especially when we learn to visualize and move through the chakras, as we'll do later today. But take a deep cleansing breath. Just a few deep cleansing breaths. Now visualize your spine, as I just indicated to you, as a mighty river. Close your eyes. And just take that breath in and count to 8. Hold it, and then breathe out 8. So breathe in 8, hold it for 8, and then breathe out 8. If you can't hold it for 8, hold it for 5 or 3, whatever works for you. Hold it and breathe out. So this mighty river flows inside you. So imagine that within the space between your hands is a mighty, mighty flowing river. And feel its magnetic current rising upward from the base of your spine to your spiritual eye and merging into the vast ocean of spirit. So right now, just feel it, this wonderful energy. Breathe deeply several times. And know that this living stream of magnetic energy is streaming into your chakras, all along your internal circuitry, all through the mediums of the quantum field of possibilities, filling it with vital pranic energy. Now bring your attention to your third eye. And bring all your focus to that third eye. And you will probably feel that energy right at your third eye. And if you're not, it's still there. It is moving. It's a pulse. You are the light of the world. And the light of God is operating in you, as you. And that magnificent consciousness of love and harmony and peace and joy and all that is good is already operating through you. And right now, anything unlike the spiritual truth of our being, we are going to let go and place it on the altar of the Holy Spirit, the presence of God. So we know that God is the light that lighteth up the entire universe, and it also lights up everything within you, illumines the consciousness within you. So take a deep breath and become more focused right now. I'm going to share a prayer with you. Almighty source of all that is right and good, help us to see our strengths as expressions of thy infinite power, and let me banish the darkness of dis-ease and its foreign presence in my body, mind, and spirit. For thy will be done. Thy light is within each one of us. The light of God is within each one of us. So we're going to have a closing affirmation. And we're going to do it. You might have done this with Krishna Das. This is the way we do it at Ananda. We repeat this affirmation 5 times. Have you done this before? Okay. So here's what we're going to do. The first time, we're going to do it loudly with a lot of intention. Like, really give it some energy. The second time we're going to do it, I want you to just speak it in your regular speaking voice. The third time, and I'm going to remind you of this, the third time we're going to whisper it. The fourth time we're going to do it silently with our focus on our third eye. And the last time is we're going to be focused once more on the third eye, which is the seat of super consciousness within us. Okay, so repeat loudly, my body cells obey my will.
My body cells obey my will.
Yes! They dance with divine vitality.
They dance with divine vitality.
I am well, I am strong.
I am well, I am strong.
I am a flowing river of boundless power and energy.
I am a flowing river of boundless power and energy.
Yes, you guys are. All right, now we're going to do it at our normal speaking voice. My body cells obey my will. They dance with divine vitality. I am well, I am strong. I am a flowing river of boundless power and energy. And now, as a whisper, my body cells obey my will. My body cells obey. They dance with divine vitality. I am well, I am strong. I am a flowing river of boundless power and energy. And now, silently, with your focus on your third eye, my body cells obey my will. They dance with divine vitality. I am well, I am strong. I am a flowing river of boundless power and energy. And one more time, focused on your third eye, the seed of superconscious mind. My body cells obey my will. They dance with divine vitality. I am well, I am strong. I am a flowing river of boundless power and energy. You are a flowing river of boundless power and energy. And it is yours to step into that power. And in New Thought, we affirm what we want, and we learn to let go of what we don't want. So who wants to be a flowing river of power and energy? All right, so it is.